Welcome to a special series of the Agency Navigators podcast. This is the Experience Files. I'm Ro.
I'm Don.
And we have the most special guest with us today. Absolutely thrilled to have the one and only Larry Linne, Insight Performance Group, and all of the various businesses and influences you have in the world. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you so much. You guys are always way too kind in the way that you think of me and speak of me, but thank you so much, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you because some people may not know our origin story, and Don's going to tell a little bit about that.
Well, first off, I don't think we would ever be here. Agency CFO would not exist without Larry Linne. And the impact that Larry Linne, you have had, Larry, on me personally is profound. Met Larry 20 years ago, give or take a couple months, at a conference. Larry was speaking, and 20 years ago, I watched you on the stage, Larry. Little did I know, ultimately, through the years, the impact that you would have. And we talk about experience. 20 years, we've had a lot of combined experience. I've leveraged your experience. You work with great insurance agencies and other organizations.
And I just sucked you in, Larry, because there's no way you and I weren't going to work together in some way. I kept hearing about all these cool things you were doing with Don. It's like, I want a piece of this. So a quick aside, I remember him coming from that conference saying, this is far different than anything I've ever seen.
It was one of those profound moments that changed my perception of insurance forever, in that it was, there's a different way to look at things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the theme of today, and the theme of, my relationship with you, Larry, over the years is you've often advised me to look at things differently. And I think
whether you wanted to or not.
No, I wasn't always a willing participant. In hindsight, it was great advice. So today, I think those are the theme of today is about being an advisor. And I know that you have worked with so many people and so many businesses and owners to look at things differently.
Yeah. Well, guys, I would tell you that I think that's been a theme in my life is changing the way people think, because I believe that we live in such a world of a bias driving our thinking and our decisions, that when we can learn to be challenged in our thinking and challenge our biases, and all of a sudden we get these new thoughts that it opens the world to opportunity. And I consider that one of my drivers as a consultant is I want to change the way people think. If you can, as long as they're thinking the same way, their path is narrow. If they can change the way they think, all of a sudden new opportunities come up, and not that they're going to change directions, but they have to think through it. They have to work their way through it to get to their decision, but it's a better decision. So I appreciate so much that's your beginning of words about me is that I did challenge you and change the way you think. And that's what I hope to continue to do in all relationships. Keep making people think critically and change the way they think. And then they've got opportunities that they never knew existed before.
Absolutely. And, it took me a while, very candidly, to...
So the two of you coached for 8 or 9 years. Larry was the coach.
Larry was the coach.
You still are to this day.
Not as the student.
In the agency itself.
Not always a great student, but I was the student.
No, you were a great student. Yeah, great student.
And repeatedly, yes, you made me think differently.
Yeah. Well, and that was, for everybody else that's watching this. So I was a consultant for the firm that you were working in. You were a CFO of the firm, and I was coaching different people in the organization and had the opportunity to coach you personally. You were special. You're not like most people out there. You were very entrepreneurial in your thinking. You were very creative, innovative, and you were somebody that when I did coach you, you implemented and executed. And we did some very personal stuff. I mean, we looked at you from a 360 at one point and analyzed what people thought of you. We looked at your financial modeling and KPIs and direction of the company. And you were more than just a financial guy. You were involved in the executive team, making a lot of decisions there, as well as partnering with others in decisions. So yeah, you were a special guy to coach. And I always kept wondering if I was going to run out of things to advise you on. But I think we both evolved over time, and I got better and you got better, and we just kept getting better together. And eventually I was a part of the decision making, and even the idea of why don't you break away and go into a new business and continue to serve the client that you were serving. It was a win for both companies. And it was really successful for you and the other company, because you both got the opportunity to get the finances right and to get your opportunity right. And I'm thrilled for you and love that you get to work with Roe every day.
Absolutely.
We grew up at work together. We say we met at work and we said we'd work together. And that's a lesson that the universe listens, and you never know how it's going to happen. We were actually at the event in Toronto, and I will never forget it. I attended as the spouse. It was a cocktail party at Larry's Insight event. And he said, Don, I got this guy. He needs a CFO. I want you to be a fractional CFO. And we're not going to name names. We joke to this day. I felt like I was watching the other woman chase him, because wherever Don went, this man would appear. Like, he would not let him out of his sight.
Who knew? It turned out to be a monument.
And we loved him. He came to our house. I mean, we just really...
It was the proof of concept to what ultimately has become agency CFO.
And I think, Larry, that's right. A testament to you, your vision. You saw in Don what I always knew was there as his wife, and having worked with him in the past. But when you talk about expertise and advising, you see things in people they don't see for themselves. And it's something that I try to emulate in my work. And I know Don emulates, we emulate it with the team. In full disclosure, for anyone listening, we are members of Insight. We begged Larry to let agency CFO, because we only focus on insurance industry businesses, and that we follow the Insight sales model. We were like, please, Larry, let us be a part of Insight. So our employees, our team members can get the coaching.
That was an easy decision. And and I can tell you, Roe, to your comment about finding something in people and being able to bring the best out of people. It's a gift, I believe. I think I've really nurtured and built that gift out, and it starts with a passion. You have to really care about people, and you have to want people to be successful. But being able to have the emotional intelligence and the thoughtfulness around thinking about people and seeing where their potential lies, and it lies both in their strengths and in their weaknesses. It can lie in their strengths because of what they can bring to the table of highest and best use of talent. And it can lie in their weaknesses of areas that can be improved. And so, like, even with my own team that I work with, this is a high priority, is to identify what can they do that they don't even know is possible. What's great in them that they haven't figured out. And when I'm able to help somebody figure out what they didn't even know possible, and then encourage, and then bring the tools and bring the resources, and then all of a sudden the rewards come when other people tell me, oh my gosh, he is so good now. Oh my gosh, she is so great. What have you done? And usually it's not what I've done. All I was the catalyst to help identify it, trigger it, give some ideas. But the only changes that happen is when a person does it themselves. So, that person becomes better, the company becomes better. And I just became that catalyst in the middle that helped people realize, change the way they think, realize what potential is there that they didn't know was possible. And I got to tell you, I'm going to go to my grave, which I just had a birthday yesterday, so I'm more aware of the grave coming up sooner. But I am at a place now where I think the greatest rewards that I'm going to have in my life, the things that I'm probably going to think about in the very end, is how many people accomplish things they never knew possible because I was in a relationship with them. And that is what inspires me, not the money, I'm okay getting paid, but it's not about that. It's about watching people have great success. So, and again, you guys are at the top of the list. You've performed incredibly well.
Thank you. It's, when someone believes in you, there's a powerful moment internally of the confidence switch gets flipped. And all of a sudden it's like, well, if someone sees this in me, I've got to see it in myself. And I take it to the next level of, I got to prove them right. I got to earn that devotion they've put into me. So another little aside along our journey together, this is a true story, where every year we used to go see my parents when they had a house in Florida. They lived there year round. And every year I would say, when do I get my beach house?
I looked at her on the beach and I said, well, if nothing changes, perhaps never.
And I was like, that is not good enough. I cannot accept that, which Larry knows me. He knows I'm not going to accept that. And I said, what are we changing? What are we changing?
I had been reading a book about writing a book, how you'll be perceived as an expert. And Larry had recently published his first book. And I was watching
And I remember the book signing locally.
Yeah, and I was watching it, the impact on your career. And I was saying, wow. That was a momentous occasion. Great book. Relevant.
We use it all the time.
Till today.
We have every client read it.
Go away.
We send copies all over the country.
Absolutely.
But it really profoundly impacted your success. Actually inspired us. And I told him, I'll write a book with you. And Changing Your Equation was born. We wrote it. We came to you. You didn't judge. You were blown away. You were so encouraging. Like, here we are. I remember we're sitting at Don's desk at the agency on camera with you. And this is my first time actually getting to talk to you on a business level, which I had been dying to do for years outside of the cocktail parties. And you were just so like, you've got this. This is how you're going to publish this. You can do this. This is, in that moment, I will never forget, because anyone else in the world could have said, who are you guys? What do you think you did? And instead you were like, awesome, run with it. This is how you're going to do it.
And no, we did not outsell you. We didn't come close. But it did change our lives. So
we wouldn't be here.
Your help, again,
another pivot point.
Another point. So Larry, you've been doing this a long time. You've advised a lot of people. What do you have to tell everybody today?
Yeah, again, you guys, congratulations again. Your book, your entire story continues to be just marvelous. And I know a little bit about where you're headed, but even the new things that you'll come up with, because Roe can't sit still.
No, Roe.
You will have more great things, and I'm just so proud to be a part of that. But what I would tell you is I think the value that I can bring today is to help people have a clear picture and a path as to what it means to be an advisor or a consultant. And we're all in the advice industry. You're out there giving advice. I'm giving advice. Insurance agents are giving advice. That's what they do every day. And whenever they get caught up into thinking that all they do is give insurance policies, that's when they're usually going to start failing, because it's not just about the insurance policy. The insurance policy is one of the components, and clearly the component that helps to get people compensated. But you're not going to sell very many insurance policies if you're not giving good advice. And so being an advisor is, I believe, core to being successful, whether you're a wealth advisor, an insurance advisor. My wealth advisor, we talk about my stocks and my portfolio maybe 50% of the time, but the other 50% of the time, we're talking about budgets and health and trusts and all of the things around the gaining and maintaining of my wealth. Well, same thing in insurance. We can't just talk about the insurance policies and be able to keep clients, because clients need help with prevention and mitigation, and they need help with ideas of how they're running their business from a risk perspective. My daughter just got into business recently, and she's just pouring herself into the educational side. She was here with me this weekend, and we had a really interesting conversation. My wife afterwards said, I cannot believe how talented she is already, because she's studying so much around all the things that are preventive in nature. She's a professional line specialist, And the ideas around professional lines insurance, it's understanding about how companies run and boards run and all the risks associated with owning a business and having a board of directors and the decisions they make. And we were having conversations about that world and all the things that influence it and all the risks that could take place and ways to prevent, ways to mitigate when things go wrong. And, we were just this whole weekend thing that we all were entertained by with the CEO and his HR manager, being on the Metallica, I think it was web or the Kiss Cam. But I was even asking her. Yeah, Coldplay. There you go. So sorry, Metallica. Anyway, this whole discussion, we were talking about the board of directors, the stock value, all these things.
Yeah.
We were talking about insurance policies. And so her ability, she's going to be phenomenally successful in this business because she has this broader thought. So we're all advisors. And as advisors, I believe that there are very clear evolutionary components of being a great advisor. And this is me somewhat retrospectively looking at the world that I've experienced, but also it was about 15 years ago that I decided I wanted to get help. And I was looking for somebody to advise me and to coach me. And so I went out and started looking at coaches, certified coaches, non-certified coaches, advisors. I was just looking at every title and every possibility out there. And what I realized was that when you start looking at the package that they offer, there was different quality based on this evolution. And so it intrigued me. And I ended up hiring somebody to coach me for a short period of time. It was very expensive to get the best. So I couldn't afford them a long time back then. But what I did was I was able to then identify these phases. And now, and that was looking in the rearview mirror. Then I started creating it. So now moving forward, I'm helping people become the things that they need to become. So let me tell you what the 5 different areas are. And again, you'll think about it yourselves, even in your own business, and anybody out there listening, from an insurance agent all the way to just a business consultant.
John's getting ready to write them down.
Are critical. There you go. All right. So level 1 would be a contractor consultant. And a contractor consultant is like a brand new employee or somebody that comes in and gets something, or they buy a package, they buy a program, they go get their training to be a certified consultant, and it's somebody else's intellectual property. All right. So it's somebody else's program, their book, their system, their flow, and they come in with the intent of taking someone else's stuff, applying every step and concept to a client and bringing them value. Now they'll get value from it because somebody developed some materials that are worthwhile. So like a brand new insurance agent comes in and you don't want them doing their own thing. You want them saying your scripts, your language, your words, do it your way. Here's our value proposition. Here are our services and resources. Here are the things you say and things you do. And I don't want you deviating from that. Okay. And you know what? There's a place for those people. They're great. We need them. And every firm should probably have somebody that's more of that contractor consultant that's, hey, look, do what I tell you and don't deviate. All right. Then what happens is, experience happens. And so from an experience standpoint, now I've worked with 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, and I start seeing how people act or don't act in the training or the program or the coaching or the consulting or the insurance, whatever it is. I start getting feedback. Now, there's an interesting thing in the world. A lot of people say, boy, you just need experience to be great. Well, I'll tell you that you can have experience, and if you just have the same experience hundreds of times over and never change anything, you're no better. But if you take experiences and you learn from them and you apply them and you figure out what does it mean and you find ways to improve people based on those experiences, that allows you to move to the next level of consulting. And that is keep using the materials, keep using the system that the firm gives you, but now start bringing experiences that can bring value. Telling a client and teaching a client that, hey, look, companies that do these things are going to have a higher probability of a claim. Companies that act this way are going to potentially have higher claims. People that have this type of an insurance program, it's going to be better for them or worse for these reasons. The ability to bring real life examples and bring that personal experiences that you can speak factually about. Now, that's what's known as a value-added consultant. I have the stuff, but now I'm adding my value. So value-added consultant is the second level. And by the way, you get paid more money. You retain clients better. Okay? So it's a nice evolution. The third is what's called a quality consultant. Now, a quality consultant is still doing the materials and still has that value add of their advice and guidance from being in the experiential world. But now what happens is at this level, you get to start collaborating and bringing other intellectual property into play. And this is what you guys have done a great job of. You've created your own intellectual property, but you also use some of ours at Insight. And you also have read other books and you bring that in. And so now a quality consultant is somebody that can say, hey, look, I've read these 25 different books. I've extracted what's good about them. I've gone to these training classes. I have this new certification. I'm an exit planner. I'm this. I've got all of these stories to tell of experience, and I still have my processes, but now the value I'm bringing is complex. And I can explain to a client, hey, today I want to talk to you about one of Patrick Lencioni's books because I think that'd be very valuable in your business today. So we're able to collaborate and bring different ideas and package it all. And now the client's getting that much more value. And so this is an important stopping point because I want to emphasize here, this is what great advisors do, is they learn. Warren Buffett, love what he said. He's announced his retirement, and I love, everybody was interviewing him and asking him questions about his career. And one of the questions that I love that he's answered numerous times in his career, but they asked him again, they said, you're the greatest investor of all time, of history. What's the best investment you would advise people to make? And he said, I would advise them to invest in themselves. Because if you become smarter and you become more educated and you become wiser, you become more experienced with learned experiences that you do something with, then you're more employable. You don't have to worry about losing your job because 10 other people want to hire you. You can be an entrepreneur because you can apply value. Well, this is where that quality consultant comes. You don't become a quality consultant by just using the materials over and over and over and over again. You become a quality consultant because you're constantly learning. You're interested in the world. You want to learn new things. You want to gain knowledge and you want to apply it. And now you have stories to tell and so much to offer. Now, a lot of people would say, Larry, isn't that the top level consultant? Well, no, I have more to offer. So let's go to the next one. The next one is called a valued consultant. Okay. So we had a value add consultant. Now we got a quality consultant. Now we have a valued consultant. What is that? Well, a valued consultant is somebody that now takes everything that they've done, all the different ideas, and they start thinking about those things themselves and creating their own intellectual property. I'm going to do this myself. And guys, that's what you've done. You've created your own intellectual property at Agency CFO that brings value to clients. Now, it's not 100% all of your ideas. It's stuff you've learned. It's stuff you've experienced. Yeah. It's stuff that people have given to you. But you've taken all that and said, you know what? I'm going to narrow this down into what I think, my own thought leadership, and I'm going to start developing intellectual property that's unique. Now, in my company, this is again, I learned this many years ago, and it became a theme for me, that I believe that if I can identify the problems that exist in insurance agencies and insurance companies and wealth advisors now, but if I can identify the problems, and in my company, if we can identify the problems, and then if we can solve problems that they can't solve, hiring problems, productivity, lean systems, leadership, business strategy, if they can't solve those problems, what if I could? And if I can, is it done through a white paper, through education, through training, through videos? Is it through process design? Is it through creating a document that can help them think through things? The answer is yes to all of those things. And so now at our company, we have created over 700 pieces of intellectual property, unique to us, because into the insurance industry. And we've created those products because, and again, it could be a simple white paper or a video, but each one of these things bring value. Now, a piece of intellectual property, I consider intellectual property when it's new, and when it is applied, it brings value. Okay, it can't be just something for something's sake. But if you get it, and when it's applied, it brings perceived value. So over 700 pieces, that is a valued consultant, because now I'm able to apply what I've learned in the past, systems, my additional knowledge and experience, and the knowledge and experience from reading and studying the rest of the world. And now I'm creating my own intellectual property because I know things that will be even better than what's been done before. And so that is special. And the ability to get out there as an insurance agent and be able to go to a client and say, you know what, I'm seeing that you're having, like, I'll give you an example. In my agency, when I did this, we identified that our client was a tribal situation, tribal client, and they were having a problem with applying the premiums to the right and allocating them to the right departments inside of this tribe. And so we created a premium allocation tool. It's just a tool that you put in the GL, and it could apply to the grocery store, the golf course, the boat, whatever. And that's a tool that before they were manually spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours trying to solve that. Well, we solved it with put the number in, it's solved. So that gave a real value to their company. So that's the kind of, you can provide training to clients. That's intellectual property. You can provide education through videos. You can provide white papers that educate on cyber risk and things that are going on. You can provide tools to help them run their business better, to prevent from loss, mitigate loss, transfer loss. These are all things that you can create once you've learned and identified, create your own intellectual property. Now you're starting to think here, gosh, Larry, you've gone way up this chart. How can there be even anything better? Well, an elite valued consultant is the premium level. And by the way, everybody gets paid more and more as you go up the chart. But an elite valued consultant, that is somebody that has so much experience. They've listened, they've learned, they've applied things. It's watching the great quarterbacks, the great hockey players, the great baseball players, that the game slows down to them. And they can walk into the room. Now, all these other consultants are coming in with something. They're listening, but they're listening for ways to apply what they have, okay? You have a problem. Oh, I do have a solution for that. Well, an elite valued consultant walks in with nothing but experience. An experience that's been applied and grown and learned and developed. And they walk in and they say, Roe, tell me what's wrong. Don, tell me what's your problem. Tell me what's going on. Let's talk about your business and understand it entirely. And as you're speaking, as you're coming up with things and they're taking notes, they're going, I see problems. And what I'm going to do here is now, based on what you've said, is I'm going to create solutions and intellectual property specific for you. It's not going to be, now I may draw from my other stuff. I may bring from those other pieces. I may draw from the very beginning days when I had a system and process that I used. And I may draw from all the things that I'm learning throughout my different clients. But every single client, I'm going to look at them and say, I got something unique and it's yours. Now, when you get to that level, people almost don't say no ever to you anymore. Because when you get to that level, what's happening is you are so genuine to them. You are so specific to them. You are so custom to them, but you bring such a broad plethora of knowledge and experience and capabilities and resources that when you're there to answer their questions, they feel like it's all about them. Don and Roe, I got to tell you, maybe the greatest compliment I've had in my career was when I got a phone call one day from a client, and they said, hey, by the way, I just want to call you. I just left a meeting with a bunch of insurance agents, and there was 3 of the really big good ones that were sitting and talking, and I was visiting with them. And your name came up, Larry Linne. And they said, one of the persons in the group said, oh my gosh, Larry, you know, I feel like when I'm with Larry and I'm working with Larry, I feel like he doesn't have any other clients. I feel like it's all about me, all about my company. And I feel like he cares so much about my business. And he said, Larry, that was so awesome. But let me tell you what's really awesome. The other people there went, oh my gosh, that's exactly how I feel. Oh, you kidding? man, I've never articulated, but that's exactly how I feel. Now, I don't say that to compliment myself or to tell you anything great about myself. What I would tell you is that's the reward back when you're at that elite valued consultant level, because it is so customized to each person. It is so much about just that business. And now you're making a difference to them in a custom way. And all of these things build, and ultimately it goes back to what I said before. If you're not learning, if you're not interested, if you don't really care, you're not going to ever get there. There happens, you're passionate about making a difference in people's lives. You're passionate about helping people accomplish things that they didn't know were possible. You get there because you will spend hours and hours and hours reading and learning and studying and getting designations because you want to learn 20, 30 hours worth of stuff to get one sentence or one paragraph of value for somebody else. That's what the rest of the world is worth. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I think the 5 levels of consultants: contractor, value add, quality, a valued consultant, and an elite valued consultant. I think anywhere you're at on the chart is valuable. Anywhere you're on the chart, you will sell insurance. Anywhere you're at on the chart, you can be successful. But every day you should be trying to move your way up the chart.
Yeah.
You speak to us. First of all, it was absolutely amazing and a testament to the 20 years we've known you, because this is what we wanted to share with everyone. Like we get to be insiders with you, which is the greatest joy. And your genuineness, at that moment when you said that your client talked about feeling special and you were like, they were your only ones. If you roll back the tape, you'll see Don and I nodding. Like, that's how we feel. Like, whenever we have that moment of, we need to reach out to Larry, it's instantaneous. We get a meeting with Larry. He doesn't turn us down. He's always there for us.
I think as I look back, what you have done for so many, for myself, is that opportunity is all around us, and it's so easy not to see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, just a little change in perspective and, it's like right there in front of us. But day to day, we're so invested in what we're doing that we're really blind to these tremendous opportunities in our life. And you've really done a tremendous service by helping not only me and Roe, but so many others really understand, here's the opportunity in front of you.
With genuine, you're genuine, which puts you in the lead because, of course, Don wrote them down. And that would be my guidance to anyone listening to this, is just embrace your genuine. Help people to help. There's the prayer that is attributed to Mother Teresa, but it was actually Robert Greenleaf, of do it anyway. People may talk bad about you. You do you anyway. Just be yourself. And Larry, you embody that. You've absolutely inspired us to embody that. And the more people approach their insurance business, their wealth management business, whatever business you're in, if you approach it with that genuineness of being an educator, being someone, that advisor, and being creative in those solutions, just watch the magic in the world. In a really dark world, there are spots of magic.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I think to your theme, and I love your theme about experiences and being an experience and being elite in experience. But people have to just keep growing. They want to grow. They got to learn. And anytime you think you know it all or you've accomplished everything, and I go to insurance training classes with a bunch of salespeople, and I'll have people that have been selling for 20 or 30 years. And I have people in there that haven't learned anything in the past 10 years. And they say, well, I know as much about insurance as you ever need. I already know. And I just watch them and think, gosh, what a missed opportunity. They may be very successful, but gosh, what could they be doing if they just kept learning? Be interested.
Absolutely. And I can't not say it, because anyone who really knows me knows how close I was to my dad. And the one thing he always said my entire life was, education is the one thing no one can take away from you. And Larry, you've alluded to me a couple of times. It's actually that memory of him and making him proud and constantly learning and striving and what's next. It's because of my daddy. No one can take my education away. So you are just so much like him. And so, just truly in the best way possible. It's just inspiring. And everyone needs to find someone to be inspired by. Right.
Well, they do. And I also would add to that I think one of the goals is to be inspired by your own work as well. And be inspired by those that have brought you and encouraged you and motivate you, but be inspired by yourself as well. And, I have a process that I follow that every day, I write down 3 things that I will do towards my goals. My first goal in my life that I have every year, I rewrite my goals. My first goal every year is I want to be my wife's best friend when we die and when one of us dies. And so that means you got to work at it. You don't just get that gift. You have to work at it. And so every day that, and my financial goals, my professional goals, my health goals, my spiritual goals, I have my goals. Every day I start my day by 3 things that I will do today to meet my goals. I do that every day. And I actually have a bracelet that I wear that says I will on it. And it says I will. And every day I start my day by saying, I will do these 3 things. And I have 2 accountability partners that I text them and say, I will do these 3 things every single day. And every next day I have to text back and say, yesterday I did do them or I did not. And today I will.
That's the power.
And so I've been doing this for probably about 12, 13 years now. And it is what I do every day. Now, what I found though, is most people, when they hear that, they go, God, that's brilliant. I love it. I'd like to do that, but they won't do it. And they stop doing it or they can't stay with it. And I started asking myself, why? Why do you think some people can't stay with their goals or meet their goals or keep on top of it? And I believe that it's primarily because the world we live in today, it's getting worse and worse, and that human beings are influenced more by immediate gratification than ever before. Immediate gratification is the killer to most of our goals. Whatever I want to get accomplished, immediate gratification just rips it away because it says, eat this, don't go to work out, you're sore, don't do this, you're tired, don't make a call. Immediate gratification, meeting those immediate needs drive the majority of people. And one thing that I got a blessing by is early in my life, in my teenage years, I was revealed that if you can have delayed gratification, the results and the rewards that sit on that side are phenomenal. And so I started talking to my future self. When I was a teenager, I would ask myself, okay, Larry, you're 30 years old. What should I do right now? Okay, Larry, you're 40 years old. What would you do in this scenario? And I learned to start talking to my future self and decisions of, things that you should or shouldn't be doing out there and probably shouldn't. My future self looked at me and said, really, you're going to give up this future for that in this moment? You lost your mind? And so I've made such great decisions my entire life. And so I actually created a new bracelet that says, I will on one side. And on the other side, it says future me.
Oh, wow. So look at that.
Every day, all day, I look at this and I say, today I will do 3 things that are going to meet my goals. And every time something comes in my face that I think of a decision that needs to be made, I just ask my future self. And sometimes my future self says, don't do it. And sometimes my future self says, do it because it's best for you. Or you know what? You need to rest today. So it's not about working harder or going after it more. It's your future self giving you really good advice. And I would just encourage anybody that as you look at your experiences and as you look at growing, not only experience is what you've gained, but what you're going towards is your future self, and be in tune with that. Ask the questions, because for all of us, the biggest damage that we'll get in our life is whenever we decide immediate gratification is going to drive us. And teach your kids this, because if you want to guarantee they'll fail, let immediate gratification be their driver. They won't go to school. They won't get educated because that's delayed gratification. So that's my final message today. That's the rest of my story. All I got.
That was amazing. In the past, we've heard you talk about, you've told us the story about the three goals every morning. Now that was, every time we talk to you, I learn something new. You take it to a whole new level, which is why I get excited and my energy comes out, because I'm such a low energy person. Everyone, but my bubbliness comes out because I love being inspired and having to experience to tap into. So as the first official guest on our Experience File series, it has been amazing. And the journey with you over the past 20 years.
So thank you today for sharing your wisdom with so many who will benefit. And this gives me a great opportunity also to say thank you for 20 years of sharing your experience with me.
You're absolutely welcome. And thank you for your experiences that I've learned from. I learned from everybody, as well as thank you for performing, because I wouldn't be here today if you hadn't performed. So
it all goes around. It comes around. So everyone, please follow us on your favorite podcast platform, or search us out on the web. Please follow Larry Linne. Reach out to him. The whole Insight Performance Group, they are an amazing group, an amazing resource we have tapped into. We would not be here without them, and we are eternally grateful.
And that is Insight, INCITE.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. All right. Be well, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well.